We'll call the executive committee order for a motion to adopt.
I'll
the
make a
agenda.
motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Carries. How about our minutes of April 13th meeting?
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion on the minutes? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Are there any public comments? No. Supervisors not seated as committee members here that have any information for this committee. All right, we'll have a discussion on the code of ethics. Leading us in that.
So I just handed out a draft. Actually, Shabana did. This one is the working draft that Amy Middleton and I worked on, and the copies that you have, are they in color so you can see the?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Just pulling mine up. Where did mine go? Oh, there it is. So when former IT director, when I click on this, how come it doesn't open it? So here I am. This is the one I want. Click on it and it goes away. Right here, I want
Something else.
Can I just use your hard copy for now? All right, so my computer isn't cooperating. But if you look at number 6, fairness and consistency. That's the closed session language that we talked about adding a while ago. And putting that right in the ethics code makes sense. That way you can hold folks accountable to it. Sometimes there might be competing interests where information that's provided in closed session could be, I don't know, let's talk about the lime quarry sale, for example. And if somebody had information about how much money we wanted for it, and then they could disclose that for the benefit of some private party, this would be something where you'd hold that supervisor accountable. It should be understood that you maintain confidentiality, but I think it's a good idea to put it right in the ethics code. In the next section, we added language that describes the type of behavior that would be contrary to that provision, because I know that there was some confusion and discussion about that historically.
On which one are you talking about?
Under political activities.
Number 7.
Oh, I thought.
Should we
Okay,
go back to 6C? When was that at?
That's already a part of your current ethics code.
Shall we go back a year? No.
Wait.
All right, no.
oh, that's good.
That doesn't make you nervous, does it?
No, but I'm just wondering, I don't remember seeing that. We can go back.
No,
a year
no,
on
you're
something.
right. That should be redlined. I'm not sure
See,
why.
it's not, we haven't had. that
I must have, again, I had to revert to an old version today because I had saved something else over this.
Okay.
So I apologize for
So
that.
C is added too.
Yeah,
because that's
C-
going back a year.
C is new, and that was what Supervisor Middleton and I talked about, because without a provision like this, the code itself only applies to supervisors, which would imply current supervisors. This would allow a 1-year look back. It would become effective once this is added to future supervisors. So they would be noticed when they run for office that they could be subject to the code for 1 year after they left office. Again, there's not a lot of teeth in it because the only remedy for a violation under this particular code would be sort of that acknowledgement in public that there was a violation of their ethics.
Isn't there some $1,000 fine? And they,
Where's him, did you see that?
and a
Oh.
talking $500 fines,
I thought it was-
$100.
I suppose if the
whatever,
district
1,000.
attorney were to take up and enforce this code,
10A is nothing new. That's just,
No, that's been in there.
yeah, that's our old, yeah.
I'm just saying that there's more than just
I see.
public shaming.
Mhm.
If it's something the district attorney would do, which would indicate it with more than just leaking a secret or something, but. yeah.
Right, the district attorney has authority under 19.59, which mirrors many provisions of this code. So yes, in those cases where the district attorney would take it up because there was some violation, like personal gain, using your position for personal gain,
Hmm.
and he or she decided to prosecute it, then yes. But the district attorney could prosecute that based upon the statute as it
Yes.
exists, not necessarily this code.
Even if you weren't in office anymore.
Yeah, because now it goes a year after, yeah.
That's an interesting question because the statute,
It can go a year after.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether the statute applies to somebody who's no longer in public office, probably.
But Russ, your point is that there is something beyond public shaming. Isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that there's actually fines that could be imposed.
But to go a year after, that doesn't seem like we can do that. But possibly.
We added language about getting advisory opinions from council.
Should we just march through it? Where are you right now?
Under section 9. And Amy pointed out to me again, I had to revert to a previous version on my computer. Amy had looked at having something notarized, and after talking, we decided to remove that. Because again, notarizing something, all it does is verify that the person who signed it is actually the person who signed it.
Right, that's all it is.
It doesn't make the complaint itself any more or
Right.
less valid.
Absolutely.
So
The
you're
reason I
removing
stuck it in
notice.
initially was because I didn't really understand what verified means. So I was trying to put just some sort of.
Which one are you looking at?
Well, like, for example, on
9.4. It's on 9.4.
9.3.4.
9.4 you're on?
Yeah, so where I have those, that notarized, we had talked about what does verified really mean? What is a person who's from the outside looking in, do they know what verified is? And I was just trying to make it a common language, though they know what notarized is, but then we kind of went back and forth on it because I didn't really want to create extra work for a person. And that's kind of what notarized did. And I can't really remember what you said was the definition of verified.
Well, and that's why we added the language, a written complaint means
Yeah.
a verified written
Okay.
complaint means a complaint that has sufficient specificity to show probable cause that this code has been violated.
So that was just the thinking on
So it's
that.
like a four corners. On its face, it alleges something that if true would be a violation of the code.
Well, to me, it also says that we actually have a person with a legitimate complaint. Many of the times, the complaints I get are of the nature, I heard from somebody, or somebody else has complained.
Yeah,
That's not a verified complaint.
Secondhand.
So it had to be somebody that actually has that complaint and answers to it.
Yeah, so we cleaned up another version and we took notarized out, so that's gone.
Yeah, and so I'll fix that once I can actually open it again on my computer. Um,
Maybe I can find it on mine.
So on the end of this too, now it says no action may be taken after 1 year. So that's that 1 year.
right, so even if you're still, right, so it's like a statute of limitations.
Yeah.
And then the question is, do you guys want to go forward with making recommendations to the full board now? Or do you think that this should go in line with when we're working on all of our rules of order for the next board? It's totally up to you.
I think we should get it done.
Okay.
Let's just get it off our desk and then look at it in a year. if we need to.
Well, if we're satisfied with it, we can move it out of the way. I would say.
Or move it to a committee of the whole to go through too, so that they do all have a
Sure.
say in it.
For,
Good.
for June,
I mean, it's for the whole board,
Right.
so I mean, we can say these other changes that we looked at, and let's have everybody. Okay, because the new board coming in will do that anyway.
Sure.
So we might as well have the whole board.
Do we want to have an opinion from us? Do you want to, you know what I mean? Like.
Well, here's what we think, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, so this is what came out of our committee.
So what I'll do is I will draft a resolution amending the ethics code. And we'll put it on next month's executive committee and next month's county board. And then we'll have a clean version of this one.
We'll look next month at a resolution and then the full board will look at a clean version of this.
So that's when, we're not saying this whole thing is accepted now. We're saying, by this board, we're saying we'll look at it next month.
Right, because I'll have a resolution amending it. We'll have a clean version. Yeah, we'll take.
So wait, if we don't kind of roughly say we're done with it here, and then we send Malia to write a resolution, then we're changing the resolution. Like that'll make a mess for her.
Yeah, if it's different than what we show you next month in this committee, and then you, hey, let's put this in, let's take this out, then you don't have the actual resolution going to the board, which will have the meeting just 4 or 5 days later. So my question
Anybody have
is,
anything they want changed on it than what we're looking at? Last chance.
What other cheese, accused, that one? My redundancy. I don't think, that's the ones that are cleaned up, that change, wasn't it?
Wasn't a lot of changes.
I think the only thing we were originally after was the closed session, that stay in closed session.
Yep.
That
And we wanted to put that
stated better,
in the code of ethics, that
yeah.
that's a violation. All right. Make us a resolution and we'll say
Okay,
no more changes.
okay.
I could sure shorten the number 7 political activities, but I'm sure you don't want to hear.
What's number 7? Oh, on in this one, yeah. What, you got something on 7?
No, not really. Except that they can
Stop, Jay.
respect their opinion, absolutely respect their right to an opinion, and they can express it as they wish. And we'll accept it. However, I do expect that they will recognize my right to tell them it's absolutely full of crap. You know? That would eliminate it or shorten it up.
That's the words you want in there?
No. Put shit in there, but it's, that's left for our big executive politicians, you know, they use those words freely.
All right,
All right,
let's talk
thanks,
about
Malia.
county board priorities.
yes, I'm not going to make this a long drawn out presentation because you all have seen this in other committees, I think, except possibly Mr. Warndall.
Yeah.
But the page I wanted you to see, and don't turn it over, Amy. I'm joking. The anticipated assignments of goals. So once the priorities were identified last month at the board meeting, the 6 priorities, really the 4, and then the 2 we're going to carry on, have been assigned. And we want your, if you have any concerns with how these things have been assigned to divisions and to committees, so that over the course of the year, we'll be coming back to you with our ideas, suggestions, objectives. And you all can obviously bring ideas, suggestions, and objectives to these committees. And then we'll be coming to you seeking your acknowledgement, approval, or ideas on how we implement things to work on these goals. So that's just how we thought logically it made sense to assign them. But we are off to a good start. A few of the divisions have really spent some time to come up with some ideas. We had a meeting with some broadband stakeholders last week where we've come up with several ideas and suggestions on how we can improve the adoption of high-speed internet here in the county.
Good meetings.
So we're making progress already.
So according to this, the executive just gets in the middle if there's a fight between them.
Generally, executive, yes, you might break up the fights, you might have anything that deals with policy and kind of oversight on all of them. It's not that you're left out. We will obviously keep you updated with any,
Well, that's kind of the executive is just if there's problems.
right, the referee, so to speak,
So we can get down to quarterly meetings instead of monthly. What we're shooting for.
possibly.
Anything else?
Oh, our committee thought it was all right. We looked at it, I guess.
Yes, Bob presented you.
So Bob presented it to the environmental services. And we thought it looked good. So I mean, so. I don't know if you guys, has general government looked at this too? Thought it looked all right. I mean, if we go through each one, then it's, should be fairly simple. If each committee did that.
HHS.
Human Services,
Did they do? So pretty
Human
much.
Services did, yeah.
So pretty much everybody, safety.
Yep.
Are they gonna try to get it down to 4 or is it gonna stay at 6?
Well, the interesting thing was that there was a clear separation between these top 6. But if you realize that 2 of them, broadband and parks and trails, are really kind of are going to wane off over the next year, we think, because we're going to implement parks and trails. We're going to get the adoption rate up on broadband. So we don't know that it will require tremendous amounts of work over a
The other
3-year
ones
period.
that were on there, public safety and substance abuse, they just want to keep that
We're going to keep that
on
at the top.
top.
Then the 2 new ones, improving county infrastructure with an emphasis on roads and bridges, and then support housing initiatives.
Vince, did you mean that there was a big gap between these 6 were bundled at the top and then the other stuff was kind of distant
Yes.
seconds down?
Yeah,
here?
it's kind of a distinct area where,
Yeah, like the top 2, public safety and crime reduction is there every year, is always gonna be top. And that's just absolute given on priorities. There's no question that they'll never change. They'll always be there.
Yeah.
10 years from now, same thing. That's why emphasizing on broadband and housing as an example of a couple of them that probably will require more attention than our number 1, because there isn't much more we can do up there except feed them money,
we hope we can.
support certain.
That's our challenge. I just think you never, when we set this off initially 3 years ago, we never suggested, hey, that these will all be accomplished in 3 years and we'll be done with it. And I think what we saw is we learned a lot. We've made progress forward. And I know in the case of parks and trails, we're starting to see these projects come to fruition. We just need to keep pushing through and implementing the plan. With broadband, it's fascinating how we thought putting that fiber in the ground would put us way ahead, which it has put us ahead of other counties. But yet we look and we see there's a low percentage of, relatively low percentage of households who have actually adopted it. Hence, we're not seeing all the benefits. And there are many benefits. So we think we're in a position to really separate Polk County from other counties by.
I think according to that meeting that we had last Friday, was it, or whatever, really identified some a means, or more than one, obviously, ways to get this information out to the general public and get more residents, rural residents, signed up realistically. Like you say, it was nice to have all the optics in the ground, but if nobody touches them or goes to them, it's a moot point. But I think we identified quite a few ideas on how to get out to the general public and get this thing rolling in Polk County
And I
relatively soon.
think next week I'll have a brief little,
Yeah,
Well,
what's the
no,
reason?
we don't know. Nobody knows.
I'll give a brief presentation on Tuesday night, just kind of an update of that meeting in progress. Your question was what?
Cost. Is
Cost.
just cost to the
Affordability
individual too
Is a
much?
big issue. And so, the question is, are there things that can be done to reduce the cost? Some of it, in many cases, is awareness of money that's out there available through federal people, if, income qualifying, they can reduce their payments. The average cost of high-speed internet in the county is $84 a month. And
After the hookup charge.
Yeah.
yeah, and then some companies provide for the hookup, some companies don't. So we're gonna look at other ways, vouchers or whatever, that maybe there's a way to get access to the people who need it. Part of it is people understanding the value of high-speed internet. There are many people out there today, parents included, who have kids in school who might say, I got my high-speed internet right here on my phone. Why do I need anything else? Well, we're going to be able to help get that information out to people that, well, there is a lot of needs for that, because
Right.
if you're going to have a Zoom meeting, or if you're going to have a class over the line, TVs going and those types of things, that phone's not going to do it for you. If you want to conduct business now.
In your presentation, one of the things that was discussed at that meeting was getting the information to the average person that pays taxes and lives in this county. The closer we get to the public, the better off we're going to be. And that's why I mentioned townships have a little better connection, not criticizing the county for their efforts, but the townships have hopefully have a better a direct communication to the public than the county does. I mean, they're more personal to their personal needs.
Right.
They're the ones that run their taxes and all that stuff. So so if you could mention the fact that the townships hopefully will get involved in spreading the word.
Yeah, and in particular for those private road access
Correct.
issues, we have
That's
so many
another-
lakes.
That's another issue, and nobody knows for sure who has the authority to do that.
Right.
And
The
if
town
you-
did.
if there's any way to
Well, not
answer,
really.
No.
if there's any way to answer the why that we're not getting buy-in on these lines, maybe you won't know that by Tuesday, but.
Well, that's kind of what this meeting was all about, is
Yeah.
what the
I figured
obstacles and
that way
hurdles are.
there's anything else
Right.
that we can address.
That's
Okay, thank
exactly right. Hopefully that'll be remedied.
Are we by any chance, I haven't looked at the agenda, going to have a Stour update that night, or
A what
a
update?
Stour update, wherever that, like a one sentence
Oh,
update?
so about a month ago, maybe a month and a half
Yeah,
ago, there
yeah.
was an email from the JA anticipating a decision. The last email that we got was, I believe, let me just check, because it would have been from Matt Tome.
I think your update will be, it'll never end.
Okay,
Um,
I remain not to.
I think he's gonna die before that. gets-
Well, he
so
hasn't,
on April 20,
I just think he's been.
on
saying
April
stuff.
27th, his JA said Judge Black is working on the very lengthy decisions and is hopeful he'll have them done in the next week. And that was
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So, and I, any minute now, or?
I
I
never,
don't
that's
know.
one of the two.
Okay,
Any minute now or never, right?
It also indicates that Judge Black has advised that he He's discovered a couple of issues that haven't been briefed, but we'll address those at a later date after the decisions have been issued.
How can they do that?
That's weird.
I don't know.
I mean, he's gonna make a decision, then
I don't know.
make it again?
Yes, with his own discovery.
Yeah.
So that doesn't even make sense. Because it wasn't even presented.
Well, thank you, Malia.
So.
All right,
they won't
any,
get into that.
any other items on our goals anyone wants to comment on, or? Just hold off and wait for you
Well,
guys to
I
put
think
more together.
as long as, unless some of you said, hey, no, the way this has been delegated to different committees, you disagree with them, then you can tell me and I'll go back to that committee. But I think most of the committees have already accepted this, so I just want to make sure you knew what was going on.
Right, how about our resolution 2323?
Well, this is a proclamation honoring the village of Turtle Lake for 125 years. I think the only person in this room that was there, no.
Right. Well,
But I think Mr. Luke was willing to sponsor this. And it's just a way, because Turtle Lake, even though, you know, you think of it being located in Barron County, there's a portion of it, especially a lot of businesses and so on that come into Polk County. And so we wanted to send Polk County's recognition and appreciation and just honoring Turtle Lake for their incorporation or their, when they were created 125 years ago.
actually, what brought it to our attention was, I was close, actually, 125. But what brought it to our attention was Barron County requested that we also participate in this.
Yeah.
And as you can see, this is exceptionally well written. And however, I certainly can't take any credit for it because that's the first time I've read it totally. So but I think that it's just a great gesture for Polk County, and they're an active part of our community in a lot of ways. You know, people work there and back and forth. It's that border people are Turtle Lake is an aggressive area.
Well, and I think their Quick Trip, their McDonald's, those are all
A hotel,
in the Polk, on the Polk
Hotel.
County side. Yeah,
business,
hotel.
business park.
Just going to put it in business.
So this is like an anniversary, congratulations.
Yeah.
Right, it's just yeah.
The actual
I'll tell
day,
you, the people that built that Dairy Queen there had a tremendous foresight for the future. I should have never sold the damn thing. Should have hung on to the damn thing. Jesus.
and the
That's just-
actual day is like the day after our board.
Oh, good, yeah. So we can go if we wish.
So we need a motion to forward it to the county board for
Yeah.
approval. So move.
Seconded.
And with a recommendation,
A day or day.
recommendation from this committee.
Yes, well, I assume so.
So you're making a motion to
Yes.
approve it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carries. All right, that brings us to our main item here, subject matters for our next meeting.
Can I ask a question? Can we go back to 8:30? Or are we sticking on 9 because it helps the fair people?
I think it helps the
clerk.
clerk.
Fair guy.
No.
Oh, you wanted it.
Because the
9.
They don't
office
have
is going open
personnel.
and stuff.
Okay, okay.
So it's the clerk that can get everything. Otherwise it'd be at
I
6.
think we
I
would
was
have
kind
went
of
to
feeling that.
6:30 if we were gonna.
Yeah,
I was-
for a fair guy.
6:30 or
Maybe
something.
6:45. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, what do we think? I mean, we got a half an hour in today. I mean,
And we pushed it to get a half an hour.
yeah, could we have put that resolution 2323 on someone else's committee to get it to county board?
Well, it's gonna be a
Maybe we need
committee,
to start thinking quarterly.
we can put it on committee of the whole and have the resolution addressed in committee of the whole.
I'm saying
No,
for,
I had it in
we,
general.
did we really need this meeting today?
Oh,
And do we need one next month?
that's what I'm saying. Instead of coming back for that one resolution, just putting that, I'll
Right.
draft it, we'll put it in committee of the whole.
I'm not aware of any other issues that we'll be addressing here.
You're talking about
Unless
the code.
something big comes
The
up
ethics
that
one.
Yeah.
committee is
agree on-
having a dispute and we need to step in and settle it, maybe we should just take at least a month off and then see what it looks like in July if we need. If you have action, I mean, in July,
Okay.
schedule a meeting. If not, we'll see what August looks like and,
I agree.
or
So
if you guys want to get together, just say that, you know, the executive hasn't met for a couple months, we should meet, then we'll have a meeting.
If the fair hasn't reached out, I guess that was the biggest reason.
We haven't
Yeah,
heard
that's what
anything
was
from
actually
them. Right?
keeping us.
Right, I think we should have a meeting in July and include the fair and have a closed session so we could
Find out what's going on.
move on, and discuss some things that.
Good idea.
We may want to forward, we may want to come up with a final draft and forward it.
Well, then you'll have to come back to do the administrator's performance evaluation in
July.
October, November. What, your anniversary date is November, right?
November 20th.
So probably October.
So do we actually is there something on our work plan that we're supposed to do next month?
Oh, shoot. I didn't get my- I don't think there was.
All right, let's figure
Because the
tentatively,
MOUs to look at those are at the end of the year.
let's for now just say we're gonna skip the June executive and we'll think about July. If they can hook up with the fair and if that works. Then maybe we'll meet in July.
Okay, what else do, I think, what we have is that we look at the MOUs or something, a few of them, isn't it? That's what all we have.
Right.
Towards the end of the year.
Yeah, or they can put it in a committee if it's one needs to be looked at.
Yeah,
I mean, we struggled to get a half an hour meeting
Yeah, we
here today.
agree.
All right, so we'll say no June meeting at this point unless you guys say you have to meet. We have something that needs
We would reach
attention.
out to you and ask that question.
And I'll just have Amy sign the resolution regarding the ethics code. We'll put it on committee of the whole. And then go from committee of the
I
whole
think
out
we've
of it.
already decided that we're not changing it
Okay.
Everything
anymore.
we talked about today is going to Malia
Yeah.
into a resolution.
They can change it on the floor.
And
and
then they
county
can change it on
board
the
if
floor.
they-
Yeah,
Good.
sounds good.
All right, we got one big item to
Make a
go.
motion to adjourn.
It's a 1930.
Previously, the
So it is 4 years.
chair authorized me to meet with Malia on the fair.
Mhm.
So do I still have that permission to meet with Malia, come up with what we would consider language that we've all agreed to for the July meeting then?
I believe that's the way to handle it.
If the language is what we all agreed to, I
Right.
mean, you know, the
Yeah.
Right,
last.
I'm talking about that first set where we sat across from each other.
Yeah. Remember,
There was no nays, maybe a word or two. That draft of it.
Didn't we-
Let me review the last meeting when we discussed this, because I think there was something else that was proposed and decided. So let's take a look at that, but then you and I can still talk about it.
Right.
Yeah, you can absolutely meet them.
Well, then
Or,
we went the distance. You know, instead of letting time go by.
Right.
And not go the distance. It's not right. So it's
Well, I'll look at I'll watch the video.
I like that, Steve, because I think you can help move this along. Just off the dime a little bit.
But it's not on today's agenda, so let's.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
okay.
all right,
Okay.
I did make a motion.
Second.
all those in favor?
I,
Stand adjourned at 9:30.
We'll both review it.